Hello everybody. So GitHub has been having a lot of problems lately, and one of the most important, if not the most important problem to discuss at the moment is, or has to do with PRs. So on April 23rd, that's last month, for a few hours, people would submit PRs and they would land on merge queues, and those PRs would be merged, and what would end up happening is a single commit would land on main, but it would destroy or delete like 50 commits that actually existed on main prior to the merge. And our boy Kyle Daigle, the COO of GitHub, comes out and says, yeah, so people contacted GitHub because they were furious, and why wouldn't they be? Wanted to provide more clarity about this. Yesterday, we had a regression in merge queue behavior where, in some cases, squash or rebase commits were generated from the wrong base state. And yeah, basically what would happen is you would be working on a branch and submit a PR, and it would land on the merge queue, of course. Merge queue is a GitHub feature, but a lot of platforms have it. The difference here is that GitHub's version actually failed miserably. So it would generate from the wrong base state. Instead of landing on the tip of main, instead of a commit landing on the tip of main, it would land somewhere in the middle or like 50 commits behind. And let's say those 50 commits are just gone now. They're just deleted on GitHub. And here Kyle Daigle says, 2,804 pull requests out of over 4 million merged on April 23rd. So he then goes ahead and divides that by 4 million given 0.07% were affected. And they say that we fixed the issue and we've contacted every impacted customer, which is interesting. Because from what I've been seeing, people affected were actually dealing with this problem on their own without any help from GitHub, because how could they help these people? So this comment here says, 4 people spent hours putting our repo back together at my company after this. GitHub has been unreliable, and now they are breaking the core tenet of what I expect from the service. And that's true. So with GitHub, you have this mental contract that you would put your code there and it would stay up there. It would not break, it would not be deleted, and you would be collaborating with people and everything would go fine. Because it was for a long time, since its inception, been doing great until Microsoft took it. So this chart here is a historic uptime. It actually pulls from the official GitHub status page. And basically you can see here that before Microsoft acquired GitHub at 2018, everything was going great, except this area here. This is uptime, this is the average uptime. So basically, what's the average, availability of all services on GitHub? And it's interesting because it was green, and then Microsoft acquired it, and then it's red immediately in the same month that Microsoft acquired it. And then it was going downhill from there. It was just getting bad and bad and bad. You can see here in May 23rd, 2023, it was of major outages and partial outages lasting for 3 days, which is a lot. Now, Kyle Daigle is being a bit disingenuous here. He's being dishonest. Because if you scroll down, you will see that he corrects himself. He says, no, there were about 800,000 PRs that were being merged during the period of the incident, which is interesting, because it just raises the percentage of the affected PRs. He was being careful in his wording here. He says during the period instead of the 23rd, but still, you would not expect this from GitHub. So it's ridiculous. You would just be working on a branch, and then all of a sudden you wake up and in your code, or code that other people actually worked on, is just gone. And people were actually you have this guy on Reddit. He says that a PR that had 150 lines, actually when merged on GitHub on April 23rd, the commit was almost 15,000 lines. So it's ridiculous. 15,000 lines from a 150 lines. You see here it's minus over 9,000 lines. 5,000 lines have been added. And this trend has been going on for a while with GitHub and shitifying their platform with AI and such. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Now, I wanted to also bring up GitHub's actual response here about the incident. They say here that 658 repositories and 2,092 pull requests were affected. But the way they talk about it is that it's not such a big deal, which is just ridiculous. Imagine you're working with your team and you just submit a PR and then it's merged, and your friend had been working for like hours and hours and hours and hours or days on a PR that had been merged previously, and now your commit, which is like 150 or 200 lines, is suddenly 9,000 gone, and people just basically having to deal with all of this. 4 people spent hours, and this problem it was so bad. A famed person, Mitchell Hashimoto, this guy over here, who has been on GitHub since 2008. He's actually GitHub user number 1299, and he has been, this is his own blog. He has been on GitHub for over 18 years, and you can see here, GitHub is the place that made me the most happy. You can see here in his history, he has been working, you can see here, 56 commits on April, just last month. And this guy, because of GitHub's incompetence, is now just leaving, doesn't want me to ship software. So I just hate this trend of these companies. Like there's a difference between like, for example, YouTube being down for a while. Also not a great example, but you can see that you can see when I finish the point. There's a difference between that and an actual infrastructure platform like GitHub, which is used by developers worldwide. It is the hub for Git, failing so miserably at a basic thing, which is just being Git. And it is funny that actually Microsoft started immediately shitifying GitHub the moment it acquired it for around $7 billion. I mean, let's just hope that they fix this dumpster fire. You would go here, you would go on GitHub, you want to get your stuff done, and then you go to your repo and you say, you can't access it. Major outages, partial outages. And this issue is just one of many that GitHub has been having over the last few months that I've been counting. They just keep having problems. Problems upon problems. This is not even talking about their recent problems, the recent announcement that they would raise prices on AI models and other things. But the platform has been getting shitified really bad. Let's just hope they fix it. Thanks for watching.